He doesn't like that. Look at him, he's a good boy, but he don't like that.
Maybe we could play some A rounds or something like that, and we can do math, right? New towers, new objectives.
Have a break. Have a Kit Kat. Red Bull gives you wings.
Okay, didn't base.
Hold. Last time just. Nice, looks good. Nice. Let's do the top. Yeah. Let's not time, but we get first turn.
No fight mid. No fight mid.
It's good.
Nice, good job. Oh, that's rough. Tower angle resets. The might is there. Q flash forward. Gets the proc. Pathmaker's his way out. Broken Boy making it clean.
It is G2's victory here at Evry at Carmine Corp's house, and we have a special guest with us to talk us through this victory. Former pro player, former caster, Bard OTP, now G2 co-streamer. Treton is with us today. Comment ça va?
I'm fine. Speaking in English will be hard for me. I have to.
You're gonna do well, no doubt.
Yeah, it will be fine. And yeah, I'm just quite happy to be there and quite happy for the G2 win.
Does it feel better to see them win like this, especially after the past few weeks?
It feels better even at Cassie home. It's even better to win there for G2 for sure.
You're the jinx for G2, Zhao. So
a bit, maybe.
But they did well here, guys, and I kind of want to follow up on what we've been saying for G2. Making things easier for themselves is the way to go so far with this roster. I feel like that's what they did here as well.
Yeah, let me try to speak over because the KC fans are going crazy right now. The energy is crazy right now. But G2, I really like what they're doing. I was really hesitant towards the K'Sante pick because globally it has a 20% win rate right now. And it seems to be losing a lot.
Yeah.
And he actually counterpicked himself into the Jace. But having that easy setup with a Talia, Pantheon, having that tank in the top lane made every setup so easy for G2. And it really was that both teams seemed to have a little bit of stage jitters. But I think G2 really relied on the fact that their comp was so much easier to execute and just like great individual performances all around.
Yeah, and I think that also in contrast to that, the SK composition, great picks that can come out of it from a Vi and an Ahri, right? You're laughing, but it is one of those
I
things.
see the Jace. I know that's like...
Yeah, I mean, that is one of those things where, I mean, I don't really get it because I see the Silas ban, then G2 picks Alistar in 4, and I'm like, well, you just gave them that freebie, and he has blind pick Jace, but they did get some picks, and honestly, I was hoping to get more from them. I wanted to build this reel where I was like, all right, now we're getting a lot, but unfortunately, we weren't getting enough. SK, they're just not often the first ones to the fight.
And that's the thing, Tréton. SK was trying, but they were always too late. One step behind on objectives, on every fight. And you know that on this ground, G2 is always going to have the upper hand.
Yeah, I feel like they're not on the same page between especially the jungle supports. I feel like Boukada is always there, but Loopy may be a bit late at every fight. And then he has troubles engaging fights, and G2 is just here earlier all the time, and they're just a better team, to be honest.
Yeah.
But it's also so important for SK to fix going into game 2 because it was not just the objectives, it was even shadowing lanes. So often Loopy wasn't matching Labrov in terms of where G2 was making a play, and when you're playing against a Talia and a Pantheon, you can't even miss that with a couple of seconds. You need to be where the play is going to happen.
And that's the thing that I really like about G2's comp and what they try to do together is the synergy that you have between these players. We've been talking a lot about Labrov and SkewMond synergy, and I feel like on picks like this, when they know exactly what they're supposed to do together, this is when they shine.
Yeah, and I think it almost helps if your jungle support are struggling, get those global ultimates in your draft. It makes it so easy for SkewMond. Sure, he was farming a camp bot side, but he's ready for the play top side immediately when Labrov wants to go in there. They see the Jace is overstepping on the top side tower, and they just pounce immediately. And it's just so simple. The stun into the shove makes it a great play for them.
And even as an individual, I think Porter is maybe his best champion we've seen so far in the LEC. So it's so great if you can pick it.
Well, before the show, we said something that I think you're gonna enjoy. We want to award baguette points to the players with the biggest aura, with the biggest swag, with the biggest style. And in that sense, I think SkewMond's baguette is growing bigger.
Yeah, it's quite big, but I think Hansama's is a bit better.
You would put it, okay, so Hansama would be the standout player here. Okay, so we can update later with Hansama as well. I want to have Tréton's input here, of course. SkewMond's performance, guys, what did we think? As we said, Pantheon, we know that it's a success for him.
Yeah, I mean, the casters were talking about how they really wanted him to punish the Vi in the early game, but also I think SkewMond did such a good job at just grabbing the early objectives while still getting a lead. He so often finds himself in a position where he's making plays, but also making sure the enemy jungler is falling behind. And I really love what you had to say earlier, the Pantheon for him, it really just elevates this style as well.
I will say -1 baguette point for not picking Baker Pantheon.
That is true.
You can't play in France
such a big
getting baguette point, not picking Baker Pantheon. That is a crucial misplay by him, and I think we have to deduct at least 1 point for that.
Missed opportunity here, big time. What are we looking at, though, for the next game, Tréton?
The same draft may be something that can put Labrov and SkewMond on confident champs, so they can take over the game. And then Hansama with the Kai'Sa, with Ghost and Flash, he did really great. They just have to set him up.
I want to say I love Broken Blade on tanks. I feel like he's always so cocky, he's always stepping up, taking so much space, and it really makes the game so easy to play for G2. And I feel like this is really the glue they really need right now to really find their form. So I like, they banned the Sign game 1, they picked the K'Sante. I'm not sure how deep his tank champion pool goes, but I love to see him do it on a champion like Jax that kind of can perform that same job, even though it's a carry.
Yeah, but also while keeping it simple, we still have some power duos available, right? You can get an Azir and a Zhao together. You can get the Yone and the Sejuani. these are the thing where if we're talking about mid-jungle synergy that these teams will probably be needing and looking for as well. Yone was banned in game 1, so was Maokai. I'm looking to see what's going to be freed up as well, depending on what team select in terms of side selection.
I'm never worried when it comes to G2 and the arsenal that they can have in-game and in draft, but what about SK? We said go weird, go big. If you don't know what you're doing, how can they know? But
I want to clarify, because we said about Genax specifically, the rest of them...
But they all got the nose, though.
Yeah, sure. Nah, I mean, I really love Boukada and Vi. I think that's one of the better champions for him. I really like him on Sejuani. Whatever gives his team the ability to just follow up on his engage, I think it's what's best. And for Keduii, I mean, the Ezreals will probably still be permabanned, and the Kai'Sa is out now. He's picked the Corki. Now he's going to have to dig a bit, but...
I mean, Caitlyn, I want to ask you, because you're a bot laner, because I hate Corki in this meta. I feel like he never accomplishes anything. And now I wonder, what do you want to see Keduii on? Because you've played with him in the solo queue, as has I, for many, many years. We've seen each other in games. We've been there in the trenches together. What do you think is like his strengths right now?
I think it's just hard for him to pick Corki and to be good in the game. I think Tristana would be the best. I think Tristana could be great. I'd like also to see Zeri maybe. A pick that he could be good on. I think it's on LPL and LCK. They play a lot of Zeri right now, so I'd like to see it.
We've been talking about like what it means for French players and French-speaking players to be able to play, even if it's not their home, in front of their audience, in front of French-speaking audience. Do you feel like our French players have been shining a bit more today, looking at Boukada, SkewMond,
It's a bit too early to say.
Yeah?
A bit too early to say, but we will see. And I especially have a lot of hope about Calist playing in front of his home ground. I think he will be great.
Can I introduce you guys to a Danish player perhaps again? Because I think Caps as well is looking, you know, he's coming back into form a bit. Laning phase was still a bit shaky and he found himself at a disadvantage against Rika. But I still think that going into that mid and late game, he was one of the engines for G2 this game together with Boukada. And I still love his team fighting. I mean, he was pulling up the numbers this time around.
I mean, I think he had a good late game, but I kind of disagree on that point. I think he kind of was rough in the early game. He wasted that first move towards bot and then gets picked in the top side. I think he was the reason why SK had a kind of a breath in this game. And I love Caps. I know he's the best player, and it really did come through later on with these massive shoves. But I think really the main carry was SkewMond.
Yeah, the main guy was SkewMond, and I want to see more of Caps. Caps in front of a crowd. I want him to be the GOAT, and I want him to completely crush RIKR on the next game.
Is it that the expectation on Caps is just too big every time, or do you really feel like he's been underperforming lately? Because he's coming back.
I think he's a bit underperforming, to be honest. And in front of a crowd, I want him to be just the GOAT. And of course, there's expectation, but it's normal to have expectation when you talk about Caps.
I mean, for me, I still think it goes back to the new roster decisions as well. Caps is one of those players that you know in Europe for a long time, has demanded a lot of pressure from his jungler, from his support as well. And I still think both Labrov and SkewMond is getting used to how do we play around Caps, but also maybe Caps needs to get used to maybe it's not good you always get all these resources and you learn to play a little by yourself.
Absolutely. And they're coming back in full form with vanilla draft, but we don't care. This is the G2 that these guys want to see as well. Tréton, thank you so much for joining us. Merci beaucoup. You can go back to your costume after that. And casters, take it away for game 2.
Thank you very much, Lore. I'll be honest, I'm kind of, you know, vanilla ice cream makes sense, but the analyst desk does not speak for us. I would take a little bit of spice at this point.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm a little bit crazy.
I think when you are in a losing position and the normal things stop working, it would be insane to keep just doing the normal things. So you have to be a little bit crazy.
You have to be a little bit nuts. Already with G2 on the blue side, though, they have banned away Keduii's Ezreal. This poor guy, he has one champion that clearly stands above the rest, and everyone's just like, well, you'll never play that again. Yeah. So Rumble, Maokai also going to be banned away here alongside Kalista. Pretty stock standard bans thus far, nothing super surprising.
Yeah, I do want to take it a little bit back to the Tristana, though. I would love to see Keduii playing it. It's a champion that has been changed to be even better in the ADC role. It has a little bit of a weak early laning phase, which is why I don't think we're seeing it too much in pro play. But it's just a champion that Keduii, I've played against him so many times, and he has like the magic on that champion that he also has on Ezreal. And that's what SK need right now. And with Azir locked in for Caps, you know he's going to perform.
He is, and if you want to, you know, fight fire with fire, get some scaling of your own, Tristana is an option. Even in the last few days, I think he was spamming it in solo queue, almost more than he played the more conventional options. So see if comfort is king in this draft, or if there's a different approach. There's a lot of creative hover-overs here for SK, but in the end, again, I'm not going to say vanilla ice cream, but I do like, in general, giving Boukada something that can be proactive early. Xin is one of the champions left in the pool that can do it.
Yeah.
It would be easy to just go for something like Sejuani, but instead opting for a more aggressive option.
Yeah, and I'm curious what they decide to take into this Azir now that both Ahri and Talia are out. It's going to be just the MF lock-in. So another very strong early game ADC for Keduii. He wasn't able to punish Hansam in the last game. Can he do it this time?
Need to. I think even more so.
Yeah.
On the MF, right? This is a champion where when you're winning the game, when she gets ahead, she feels so dominant. She has such an insane solo queue win rate because of that, right? She's a champion who snowballs so well.
Yeah.
But what will the option be for G2? How will they respond? Maybe taking a bit more time to lock in their bottom lane this time around. Instead, scaling.
I'm a big fan of Wukong.
Like
I think this champion
is here. We've got a recipe for success.
That's true. It's kind of fallen out of the pro play meta, but he just has so insane scaling when you hit that level 6, when you get a few items, the amount of armor you get, the amount of skirmishing power you have, and all that you're really sacrificing is a little bit of clear speed early on.
Which can be rough, but previously, right, SkewMond we know can be that player who can just clear better. See if Boukada, who is now the person under pressure to make something happen in the early game, can do. A bit of a role reversal from the Pantheon vibe we saw in the previous game. Jack's now locked in too. So bot lane really getting deprioritized here by G2. They said, hey bot, you did great. Carried, did a lot of work in game 1. It's topside's turn. We got, I mean, Jack's, Wukong is here. There's a lot of confidence picks. And picking them so early, a bit of a different strategy from what we're seeing here from the side of SK, as Gragas is going to be the lock-in.
Yeah, so just a lane bully answer here for the side of Genax. Can always shut down this Jax later on. And also great into the Wukong and peeling for his carries that way. I'm curious to see what G2 decides to go for this bot side now. I think utility champions such as Jhin, Ashe, they strike me as great picks in this game just because you already have the carry potential from the top side. Don't need more carries. Don't need too many chefs in the kitchen.
From your mouth to SK's ears, Jhin banned immediately.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised to see Ashe hit the bench as well. There's not a lot of conventional utility AD carries left, especially with Varus already banned away, who, I mean, with the ulti lethality, Varus usually put in the same camp in terms of having some proactivity to start fights.
Yeah, and Estral is out as well, which is another longer range option. So they could find themselves in a bit of a pinch, depending on what G2 wants to go for. They could also decide to just double down and go for something like the Draven, but he doesn't really have the jungle setup that you'd want alongside it.
Option here now. With Wei taken away, the control mage pool is getting smaller, and you mentioned already with both Game 1 champions taking out the Ahri and Talia that conventional answers into Azir are getting picked off one at a time. It will be the Ashe ban coming through. So no utility for G2. And now Nico as well, presumably just want to make sure that the bot lane matchup isn't any more dominant than it already is expected to be with the MF, not wanting to give over the powerhouse that is Nico's support.
Yeah, and I'm thinking maybe just a Rell here for the side of SK. They could also decide to last pick support, but Rell just works so great with the MF, and Alistar being out from the last game, who's one of the best picks into the Rell, but instead, they're gonna go for the Ryze. Early game powerhouse here. They really want to try to set up this in Zhao for success, giving him tools and CC to work with. But they were not able to snowball the last game with a proactive draft.
It's also just so much nostalgia for me because we've had a rotating cast of people who fought Azir over the years. VIKTOR Azir, very iconic.
Yeah.
Corki Azir, very iconic. Ryze Azir, if you go back, very iconic.
True.
Mid lane duo.
The Ryze Azir one never made too much sense to me.
It didn't make sense to me either.
He always gets so outranged that I always thought it was bad, but like my mid laner always said it was good.
Well, Ryze was probably OP back then, if I had to guess. Right now, Ryze is not considered as objectively strong as he was in the past, but despite our expectation that bot lane from G2 would get deprioritized, instead...
Is it Caitlyn Braum? You have now the long range from the Caitlyn. It's not quite like a weak side, just leave it be and be done with it type of bot lane, but it's a bot lane that works very well into the short range of SK, and you also have the peel back of the Braum to just enable this Caitlyn so much more.
Yeah, and there's always the threat of the Ryze in the side lane. He could, in theory, do a lot of work, but as we get to team fights, it's going to be so tough for the side of SK to handle what G2 can bring to the table. But I think the number one question, and this is always so important, is just can Caitlyn hold on to control of an early lane? What does this matchup look like? Because we're so used to Caitlyn being this incredibly dominant lane bully, but she's also that champion that we've seen, usually when paired with an enchanter, lose a flash and then the entire game kind of falls apart.
Yeah, I think Braum provides a lot more of that stability. It's a lot harder to completely grief the lane, while when you're playing with something like Lux, it's very volatile where one mistake can really cost you it all, but Braum just gives you so much safety, but it also it lowers the highs as well, as you're not going to be able to completely deny the enemy ADC and poke them under tower. You're just going to be able to push them in, get some damage and trades in here and there, but not to the extent of something like a Caitlyn Lux that can completely demolish a bot lane.
Does make a lot of sense. Hansam also opting for the cleanse. See in game how much he is going to need it. Again, for SK, not out if they lose here. BDS and Rogue breathing a brief sigh of relief. But G2 would be in. They will have locked playoffs week 7. Not by the skin of their teeth, they still had one more game, but an uncharacteristic situation for G2. But this is certainly the kind of series you'd love to lock on. Game 1 is pretty dominant, game 2 could be the same.
I completely agree with you, but I also feel like for Caps and Broken Blade, this game is really, really important because they're playing 2 champions, 2 carries that I feel like they can have a ton of impact on, and neither of them have had that sort of impact that you want to see from them recently. Caps on the Azir, I've seen him 1v9 so many games, and I want to see him return to form, challenge Vladi, and make our region more competitive.
Yeah, and I think it does a testament to the reputation and pedigree of G2 players that when you talk about how good you need to see Caps be in this game, you're not talking about in the context of FLICKR. You're talking about, is he the guy that can be undisputed #1 in his role, and the same is true for Broken Blade, and that is the kind of pressure that G2 are used to playing under. We'll see if they crumble. So I almost trip over a table there. I'm wondering what happened. Because again, Madrid was tough for this G2 lineup. Still some good early games, but comparatively a bit underwhelming.
Yeah, so I'm just really excited to see Caps on the Azir, 1v9, on this long-range artillery mage alongside the Caitlyn as well. They have a crazy range advantage. How can they space in team fights? But then you have to ask yourself, as SK then, how do they win? Well, they need to get a great snowball going early game, try to fight and skirmish all around, utilize the Ryze moving top and bot, and just generate numbers advantage across the map where they can make fights happen.
And already they're starting early.
Yeah.
1 minute in. Of course, we saw briefly there before the tickets promo. You should always get your tickets. G2, we saw in Madrid week 5. Weren't able to snowball in the same way. Weren't able to find those clean victories. Last game wasn't a super explosive early game. Surprisingly kill light. Maybe this game will be a little bit different. But I think you're right. Broken Bladed Caps with the tools to make these big plays. Reeker will see if the comfort of this Ryze, this kind of niche option, so many champions taken off the board, can have that power.
And it's a little bit of swapped roles this game in the jungle department. As last game we talked about Boukada being on the Vi, having to get that level 6 before he gets strong. While this time it's SkewMond who really needs the level 6 and Boukada that's strong early game. So I want to see Boukada this time be on the aggressive side, generate a lead for himself, play for the objectives, play for these volatile lanes. And maybe he needs to help his bottom lane out because already
this is not going great.
It's starting to look tough.
A lot of free autos coming down. Loopy able to get the first cooldown, come through the knockup. Labrov immediately zoned him off. Hansama sitting here, sitting comfortably. Didn't even need the headshot to trade. Used it to push the wave a little bit faster. Also landing that pilt over Peacemaker. God, this is,
Top lane looking rough as well.
Top lane looking rough too. Reeker at least is holding his own so far, but
yeah,
whatever story we want to tell, however champions are supposed to match up on paper, Jack, it's, if you start to fall behind in lane, things can just turn in an instant. You still have to back it up, with the hands.
I mean, this bot lane matchup is one that is quite hard for the MF Rell early on, but gets easier as you get more and more levels. And it's the same for this Gragas as well. He's not really going to be countering the Jax in the first few levels. Gragas does need a little bit of AP, a little bit of ability haste. Oh, he gets a good power shot onto him. But once you get that level 6 onto the MF and Rell, that's when you really start winning.
And we'll see how a top lane shapes up as well. You mentioned it, ability haste really important. But also Gragas was hit repeatedly last year when he was a popular top lane. And even at some points, mid lane pick. That passive, the happy hour, how much healing it gets, along with some Doran's nerfs. It's just why we see the ring instead of the shield these days. And, not quite the infinite sustain bot that he once was. Janet's going to need to navigate with a bit more grace in the lane as Hansama and Labrov holding on control of bot side. And it does put Boukada in a tough spot. Bot lane losing prio means Labrov and SkewMond now free to move in, to contest some of this vision and take a crab that, in a more even bot lane state, probably should have been his.
Yeah, and it's absolutely fantastic starter for SkewMond. He just gets to full clear his camp, get his bot crab. Boukada will match it in the form of top crab, but you're not getting that early lead that you really wanted from the Xin Zhao Ryze, as it's just going to be crab for crab unless Boukada wants to just get some deep vision here in the side of SkewMond's jungle. But as you spoke on, it's not what you want to see. We want to see more early game aggression from this SK comp. And now bot lane is going to continue to bleed, but Rico getting some good trades onto mid, that could be an option.
Yeah, definitely crucial that he's able to just get a bit of a chunk down there, especially as Caps just used TP. Caps not able to get any damage back. Early lane phase seems to be working out quite well for the Ryze, as Hansama and Labrov holding on to Prio here.
That's good early lane domination from Hansama. What he's kind of known for, being able to play these aggressive champions. But REKR getting
running forward.
Ton of good trades against Caps here. Might even... If one more of those Qs lands, or REKR's able to flash forward, Caps just dies.
And really, I mean, credit to REKR for knowing the limits in this matchup, that he can't just walk past the creep wave and start spamming abilities. Caps has to be careful that none of the block back, or the blowback here from the E-spam comes through for REKR. Maybe SkewMond can cover, but remember, TP is already gone.
Yeah. And maybe Loopy could look to roam, but it looks like it's Labrov that's going to be able to help out Caps. Loopy looking to match it as well, but he's a little bit late. Might have a fight though, as Loopy spotted out on the river.
Yeah, but of course, I think when it comes to these ganks, when it comes to these early plays, if Loopy's uncontested, I mean, Rell just does so much more in an aggressive gank than a Braum will. But as long as the Braum's there to cover, maybe it does not matter. SK now collapsing. Good backstep, good stand behind me coming in from Labrov as REKR forced to back up. It might take 3 people, but they will push mid out for Caps.
Mr. President, get down.
Yeah, it's a reminder that as good as it is, as much as we want to see in 1v9, it's still a team game. Still need support in those early stages sometimes.
But it looks like the reward will be Drake going over for SK as they're able to force G2 to help Caps in this mid lane. And REKR even staying one more wave might be able to crash this and generate a CS lead on mid. Overall, despite the bot lane being quite a disaster with Caitlyn getting the early BF sword and MF only getting the Cull and the longsword, REKR in the mid lane really saving this game so far.
Yeah, also, I mean, big credit to REKR. Early itemization is also going to be nice for him, right? Getting an early Roa, even just getting an early Catalyst and sitting on it. We'll see which version he likes better, but G2 committed to this invade. SkewMond now ticks over to level 6, ahead of Boukada, not the position he wanted to be in whatsoever. And Hans is, well, not completely crazy. He will take the safe way around to the end.
I mean, Hans is E-going on them, and SkewMond is the efficiency master as he's able to build lead yet again, this time in the losing jungle matchup.
But again, it is product also of Hans, right? It is that bot lane prio coming together. And this will make it frustrating for Boukada, because again, in the 1v1, it was just a battle of junglers. It was arena.
Oh.
Boukada would be favored, but with the bot lane there, with having Prio to back him up, things are looking pretty good. REKR remaining that strong point, and the trades aren't getting better for Caps. Phase Rush, especially on top of now an early Cloud Drake, just means like, once the Ryze is on top of you, you're done.
I now see why Ryze is good into Azir. This makes sense, actually.
Which mid laner is it that you need to apologize to now?
I don't remember. It was so long ago.
We'll go back. He's going to message you on Discord after this. He's got the receipts. Now you get it.
Well, I'm surprised with the Ryze being so tanky. It looks like he's just able to continue trading with Caps. I'm guessing that once Caps is able to get a few more items under his belt, then he can actually start to try to space this Ryze. But for now, REKR is able to continue getting this mid prio. But Hansama swapping up top here for the Grub spawn. Can SK contest? I'm not sure.
Does not seem likely. Keduii on the move. And now Caps in trouble, trying to make his way out to safety. Will retreat, ignite ticks, but not nearly enough to finish the job.
But Caps has no TP. Now he has the base for the Grubs. Keduii moved all the way up. This looks like 3 Grubs for SK.
Should be. Hansama stepping forward any further to contest a plate would probably actually still be reasonably safe, just given the amount of members he sees on the Scuttle Crab vision right now. But SK would be happy to have these Grubs, taking them away from Caitlyn, giving them to Ryze. Definitely a good value proposition.
Oh, REKR ulting here to get this top wave. But now he left his team on his lonesome. Genax also TPing bot as G2 will reclaim the river. But repeatedly here, it's Caps getting out-pressured and outmaneuvered that is causing G2 to lose the Drake and now the Grubs.
Yeah, and while Hansama has held onto this gold lead, they still haven't broken down any structures. It is just plates, a bit of a CS advantage.
Well, I hope they haven't broken any structures. 8 minutes. That would be pretty crazy.
I mean, how much Caitlyn have you played in solo queue?
I mean,
that should be the
Caitlyn,
benchmark.
that's the thing. Caitlyn Lux can do that. Caitlyn Braum should do that.
Yeah, it's chill.
Yes.
But now you're excited about Hansama building Yuntal. What
That's
a crazy
true.
world this is.
That's true.
No love for AP Caitlyn.
And I feel bad for Keduii when I see his inventory at 9 minutes and he has no BF sword.
Yeah.
As that's always a pain.
No, it's harsh. When you see the pickaxe instead, you're like, oof.
Yeah.
You're a broke boy. You need to mine yourself a little bit more gold here.
But he's able to get a great QA on Hansama at least, and the Vamp Scepter does help out on the poke of MF, and that's one of the nice, or of the Caitlyn rather, and that's one of the nice things about playing this map, is that once you're able to finish this BT, a lot of Caitlyn's win con, which is just slowly whittling you down, kind of disappears.
Yeah. Good to have the early Vamp. Cole on top of that, right? And Doran's. You've got a decent amount of sustain to help you survive.
Yeah.
Keeping Hans away from the tower, I think, is the greatest thing of victory, and keeping your CS close is essentially all you can hope for. Is Loopy trying to stay just outside of G2 vision, but he has been spotted. REEKR waiting in the brush.
Don't think they're going to be able to do anything with Hansama being so close, as Keduii tries to get Pry on the next wave, but this turn might be one where SK can actually contest the river here, with Hansama being forced to catch mid.
Loopy. Come on there. Q flash forward in the ulti with the blast cone! Oh, it just trolls a little bit. Keduii on the way in. SkewMond should just be able to retreat. A well-placed plant, it's safe to say.
Yeah, really unfortunate there for Loopy as he tries to flash in. And now SkewMond has no ultimate, but Loopy has no flash.
Certainly does. Should be able to crash down over the wall. Waiting. About 1 second away there from dying. I like the new emote. Emotes with sound. Underrated levels of trolling.
Yeah, Loopy now forced to base. Oh, REEKR here.
Hitting Labrov, good damage. Unbreakable going to keep him steady for now, but...
Ryze is doing way more damage than I expected. Like, you look at his items and you think he'll do no damage. He has 55 AP.
Mana scaling, baby.
Yeah.
And some levels. But I will say that now that Caps is no longer in mid lane, I thought things would be worse with the long lane, but G2 are just loaning him Labrov, sending SkewMond up. They're just never letting REEKR play the isolated 1v1.
Did you hear the orchestra?
I do.
Beautiful.
Where's my whistle and my trumpet? But I like that we have a drum line.
Yeah.
Ooh, Loopy.
Quite able to connect.
Don't think that he knew.
Nah, I don't think so. So you just assumed that nobody was there, probably.
Yeah. Now he thinks that no one saw him. But we did all just see him whip that.
Oh, you know what was just sad that happened?
What?
Keduii just based, and he bought a pink ward and a pot, because he doesn't have enough for BF sword.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it's a tough game for him so far.
Paycheck to paycheck, while Hansama's over here buying $250 white t-shirts from the Bear.
Yeah. The SK starting off the Drake here, but Loopy is in top side.
Labrov close. Hansama and Labrov still will need to respect. Oh, but it's Broken Blade and SkewMond coming from behind. The Drake might go down, but how much is it going to cost SK? Loopy off to the side. Hex Flash. Forward in. Shattering Strike still available. Hansama tries to flash out. He cleanses, but it's a little bit too late. Genax now following. Wind becomes lightning. Hansama still standing. Flash over the wall. Not enough. First blood coming through. Labrov will barely be able to escape.
And G2 get caught unaware as they try to approach the Drake from two sides here. But it's SK getting the Drake, getting the kill on Hansama, and getting both Labrov and Hansama's flashes. And a much better early game from SK here as they get all 3 early game objectives. And it's Loopy on the pink ward, right? Channels the Hex Flash, gets to jump in. What were you going to say, Drakos?
Oh, I was just going to say crucial.
Crucial.
Look, they're in a position where, despite the fact that REEKR was winning, a lot of that advantage has been disappearing because Hansama's been, or excuse me, Caps has been covered on the top side. You can see now, Caps, despite not having any kills, 300 gold lead. REEKR backing away, Loopy. Overstayed a bit. Stunned there from the concussive blows. Yep, another goes through. They're going to donate the kill over to Hansama.
It's one of the classic problems of weaker teams as their support and jungle just doesn't quite have that synergy that you really want. As you see, Boukada is in the bot side. Loopy's trying to protect the top side at the same time. Gets got, ends up going down, and that's going to be jungle Caps going over for SkewMond as well. And he's now have a trades on bot here.
Oh, knockback. Broken Blade wins the auto trade, but that's one fast Gragas.
Bomba? No bomba.
No bomba.
Well, it was a tense 1v1.
Look, it could have gone, yeah, something could have happened.
Could have.
I will say that for SK, as much as the early game hype of FLICKR felt great, it does feel not so
diminished.
great anymore. It does feel diminished as everyone on G2 is holding on to a gold lead, although it's very small in mid.
Oh.
And the Wukong is only going to continue to scale, but Broken Blade
Has the
needs to outplay. Counter-strike. Boukada under the tower. Wind is becoming lightning. Boukada walks away.
I mean, now Gen X should be able to clear out most of this wave with the explosive cast. Never mind, he only takes 1 minion. Kind of sad for him, but FLICKR is able to push on this top, and now they get both Caps and Broken Blade's TP ahead of this Herald spawn. So maybe they can look to put some pressure down on this bot side to punish the fact that they have no TPs. But Loopy is actually around this top side here, but I don't think they can really dive Broken Blade. Although with Boukada and Keduii moving, maybe.
Have to move fast if they want to make it happen. They got 4 people. It's a bit desynced though. They need Keduii in the area to lay down the ultimate. Broken Blade slowly walking away, going in onto FLICKR. Lockup is there. Good counter strike going through as well. Flash out from Broken Blade. It's not going to be enough. Kill finish. Keduii grabbing it. Well executed by SK.
And G2, because they decided to try to move to defend the play, they don't have a cross map on the mid tower. What you'd really want to do is try to punish MF moving here and siege down this mid tower. But instead, Hansama and Labrov choosing to match. But Keduii might be a bit in trouble here. It's going to be fine.
Little strut active.
But ends up being a great play from SK as they take down Broken Blade. They do have to base now, so maybe SkewMond can take down this Herald.
A decent option. G2 set up first. SK, do they want to flip it? The answer is no. They do have a pink to cover. Bit awkward that they have to concede the Herald, but it is good that Keduii is able to finish that first item, gets the BT. Maybe this opens things up a little bit.
It's definitely bittersweet. The fact that you're able to get that kill onto Broken Blade, but you're not able to convert it into the objective. And Caps was on the bot side getting that bot tower, and he's actually been able to snowball his lead now up to 700 gold.
Which again, despite a rough early game, good coverage from his team. Winning bot side, I think, made that a graceful loss of early lane phase. And ever since he's been freed from being in mid, he's just been getting more and more gold. Remember, he was in the deficit early on. Certainly in trade, certainly in life, a little bit in gold. And now he's 700 gold ahead, despite not participating in the 1 kill. There's only 1 kill. Okay, it undermines the point. But point is, Caps just continuing to scale up, getting the time that he needs to farm on a side lane where Broken Blade and Labrov might be trouble here bottom lane. Leap through, gets a bit of CC down. FLICKR tanking the tower, a bit unfortunate. Keduii now locked up with Boukada on the way in. Repeated dives coming in. FLICKR free to fire. Wind becoming lightning. FLICKR getting out. Ulti goes in from Hansama to clean up 1 though. But SK getting 2.
It's a 2-for-1 for SK, but G2 crucially are able to siege up this top tower with the Rift Herald and get a tier 2 for Caps here. Slowly building this gold lead for him, funneling him more and more resources as FLICKR is the one who goes down, but Caps is able to continue pushing and continue building.
And Keduii, I think, one of the people who's benefiting the most from these exchanges. What was once a pretty sizable gold deficit, now quickly approaching a second item here. Has the Swifties empowered as well. Feats are going over to SK as they're able to get the 3 kills as well as the first structure. Or the 3 objectives, excuse me, as it's 3 grubs. So SK at a pretty good pace thus far, but Caps is going to be a big thorn in their side. 1.3k gold lead. Azir? That's pretty terrifying.
3rd dragon for SK, so G2 desperately don't want to give it. As Caps is looking to base, but he has no TP.
Also Hex Tech. G2 on the way in.
G2 are 3 versus 5 right now. Broken Blade is far, and Caps is still very far away.
Trap onto Genix is okay. I guess they just believe in SkewMond to steal, but Loopy's going to go in and try to start the fight, instantly locking him down the clone on the web, but SkewMond's already dead! Perfect combo! The confidence we waited 30 minutes for in Game 1 has come full force here in Game 2.
And this misplace of tempo from the G2 solo laners. As FLICKR tries to ult the end, but it doesn't end up making anything. But it's Caps trying to push out this top side. Oh, but G2 want to continue fighting here. SK Gen X going in.
Lightning off to the side, still standing tall. Hansama on the way in. Caps doing decent damage. The fall from Boukada is lethal though. Keduii ready to go over the wall if he needs to. Flash in onto Hansama. Keduii unleashing. Double guns going through, but Broken Blade still stands for a second. SK get the fight. They just keep winning out.
And G2's in road shows. What is happening to them? As they're just falling apart at the seams. First it starts with the solo lanes getting picked off. And then Halsama gets picked off as well. And SK are getting absolutely everything.
The fight starts here. It looks reasonable. They're at a man disadvantage, but maybe they can go for the steal. But Loopy, the confidence again, the perfect combo. SkewMond getting caught there. Ends the fight.
And his Caps and Broken Blade being so late. By the time they arrive, the Drake is already gone and SkewMond is dead. So it's just a 3v5 posture from G2 here. And then they want to continue fighting, but SK stay stuck around. So they're still here. They still have that numbers advantage. SkewMond is still dead. And obviously, bigger number equals better.
Bigger number does equal better. And right now, Keduii's got to run for his life. SkewMond going in. That MF is probably just dead. Every time we have a... Okay, just for the record, every time we go to a replay of SK doing anything good, we come out of a replay of one of their members getting caught.
True.
Every time.
At least SkewMond had to burn the flash, but Keduii there not having the flash of his own.
Not great. But I will say, we came into draft. First 3 picks for G2. SkewMond doing pretty well on the Wukong so far, but 0-3 for Broken Blade on the Jax. His early prio, willing to blind pick it, getting bit punished. But the Xin, the MF, despite losing the early lane phase, Keduii has been super relevant in these fights.
Yeah.
7 out of 7 for the kill participation alongside Boukada.
I'm still left with a lot of question marks for both BB and Caps here, as BB might be caught again. Labrov and Halsama are moving.
From Loopy covers the angle. They're just going to take a chunk out of BB and walk away.
But BB now down 40 CS, down 1k gold. It's just not the performance that we're expecting of him.
Yeah, maybe second item. We'll see, but has been obviously focused in a lot of these dives. That is a lot of the reason why Caps has had so much time to recoup an early deficit, to build this gold lead. But even though he approached that team fight with 2 items, he approached the fight late, and that is, you know, what is 5,000 extra gold if you can't show up to the party?
I mean, you make a great point there. It is important to note that G2 has kind of sacked off Broken Blade to put Caps further ahead, which is a large reason for why he has a lot of these deaths. He's got Dove on the side while G2 is playing the other side. But at the same time, you know, it's Broken Blade. We expect excellence. I think we hold him not to the same standard as someone like Caps, but very similar. He's been the best top laner in our league for a long time, and we expect that from him.
We do, and the question is, can he replicate what he had in the previous game with K'Sante, where he suffered early and remained super relevant in the fights? Can he find that same level of performance here on the Jax? A much more intense pick, I think it's safe to say.
Yeah.
Does still have a lot of scaling components, but isn't quite as reliable outputs in terms of what he can do in a team fight.
Now SK, 1 minute 30 seconds for Drake. I would love for them to not fight here and just chill until that Drake spawns and then play for that, and you have an easy to execute win condition. The easiest way to throw this game is you start Atakan, or you get caught.
Right here. Okay, Caps does it like a... We are going to get the left cone, the edge! Oh, Caitlyn's got his eyes in his sight! That pirate is dead! Girl walking!
No! SK!
We've never caster cursed a team more than we have caster cursed this team. My God. G2 immediately going to get Otacon. The blast cone angle was wrong. They failed geometry. They failed trigonometry. It just did not work.
On the bright side for SK.
Stop bright-siding me! That was bad! That was terrible! They can't afford
They're able to get the mid tower. Keduii is spawning for the Drake. They should be able to get control of this bot side, set up for the soul control, and play for it. Come on, SK.
If they get the soul, worth it. Not a great trade, a bad trade. Not a trade they initiated, but they can make the most of it. If they don't, though, you can see G2 speeding down here, fighting for mid-prio. Ready to try and match bot, although it'll be tough against FLICKR. It's all eyes on this 4th Drake.
And Caps, this time, crucially, bases way earlier. He's here for the Drake spawn. All 5 members of G2 are here. It's going to be a 5v5 with this time Jenax being the one who's a little bit slow to join the fight.
Sprinting down, TPing instead, covering bot wave. SK fighting from the bottom side of the map. G2 fighting through mid.
Caps taking an aggressive
going
portal air.
Over the wall, but it is okay. Range of the portal does allow him to arrive into relative safety.
Loopy's off to a flank. Has the flash.
Fishing. Not going to walk into the vision. Looks like will be spotted there in a moment. G2 backing off.
It's on the pink ward.
SK, do they want to flip it? Going back to the team. Broken Blade moves to cover. Loopy taking decent damage. Boukada falling up on the Caps, trying to get the Azir out of the fight. He's almost going to get one shot, but not quite. Caps going back in. The bomber! Caps, but he goes golden. He buys a second, and Loopy might already be dead in the meantime. It might not matter. The Drake going down. G2 get it. Despite the knockback, it's like Caps being on the bleeding edge. G2 take the fight.
And it looks so great for SK in the beginning, but it's G2 that get absolutely everything. They get 4 kills, they get the dragon, and they are sniffing out all of SK's hopes in this game, one at a time. SK get the initial engage, but it's just not enough.
Snuffing is the word.
Snuffing. Not sniffing.
They're sniffing so many hopes right now. They're all out of things to sniff. And look, it's a bit messy on the start. Loopy's caught out. Caps gets so low. You think the bomb is going to finish the job, but it's the difference of shielding.
The bomba puts Jax with the counter-strike on the heads of SK's carries, as Broken Blade is.
Okay. And the flash. Oh God. Okay,
let's never praise the team again.
Is this the only time? Is this every? No more replays, observers. Every time we look at a replay, we come out and the team who just lost the play or won the play has a member dying. G2 aren't above it.
Oh, Boukada.
For the knockup, Labrov taking a huge chunk of damage.
I wouldn't say huge, but pretty average.
All right, bro. You're the expert. We'll get you on the baguette panel next. Talk about aura. Good news is, look, it's first Drake for G2.
Oh, SkewMond. I think they can chase here.
Loopy and SkewMond both just fishing for plays.
Or maybe not.
The Hex Gates are working out nicely for G2 thus far.
G2 are definitely utilized.
Okay, can we take a breath right now? Because the last like 3 minutes have been a whirlwind. So, Caps gave up Seekers, but he's probably approaching complete third item Zhonya's, so not too concerning. Gold lead, 3K about in G2's favor. I feel like SK just have to go for a fourth Drake. What do they need to do? What do you think they're looking at?
Yeah, I think they really need that wombo combo with the MF and the Rell. I think how they want to use the Gragas is more as a peeling tool rather than a follow-up. Because I think if you use it as a follow-up, you can usually just disrupt the engage rather than help it.
Also, as we saw in the previous fight, occasionally when you try to knock someone into your team, you get a Jax.
Yeah.
An extra Jax.
But Genax, speaking of Genax, his individual lead is quite incredible. At 2 levels ahead, he's about to hit level 16. And
he doesn't even have Roa. I thought it was Roa for a second. I checked down.
Yeah.
He's Dark Angel's Cosmic. Okay.
He's just raw building this lead.
That he is. Caps, though, taking over to level 16. He is still terrifying. Hansama now at 3 items as well. It does feel like SK are going to be more... You normally would talk about a wombo combo being important for them, but with this kind of deficit, with this kind of power on the G2 carries, it feels like it's that or nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely a prolonged fight is always going to favor the Azir Caitlyn at this point, as they already have 3 items apiece.
Yeah. And the front line for G2 as well. Oh, Loopy. Loopy going in, forcing a flash out of Labrov. Uses the ulti as well. So a brief window where G2 can try to capitalize with that ulti being down.
Well, speaking of CS leads, Caps is nearly at 300 CS in 26 minutes. God damn.
Yeah, that's
pretty crazy.
Yeah. We were critical of Caps, so he decided to become Chovy, as it turns out.
So we have a standoff here in mid. Caps is approaching, puts down the tower. Boukada is...
No way back to the base. Huge chunk. That Caitlyn poke with rapid fire is so hard to deal with.
Yeah, this is the problem of SK's comp. They're so heavily outranged that if they're not able to get that initial engage, he can never really contest. As G2 now...
Retreat back to Baron. With that tower set at mid lane, I love the use of the tower here. It's so hard for SK to approach and play around these waves.
The traps as well. The trap line set up for Hansama here. The snatch goes down fast.
Rob there to cover, 6K. Azir shreds this objective. 4 damage, but they're not even going to be able to get into the pit. SK, it's a little bit too late. Now G2 are set up for a great fight. Boukada getting deleted even with the ulti. Keduii throws down the ult, but it doesn't do any damage. Labrov there to block it up. SkewMond now starting to spin, and he's certainly starting to win as well. Rika running, extra shielding coming in. Needs to get the hell out, but it's not going to be enough. It just barely is. But he's barely back in his own jungle. G2, they got the objective. They got the fight. Rika will keep his life, but that's a damn high price to pay.
And G2 are just too damn strong as they get absolutely everything. And it just looks hopeless for SK. They don't have the damage that they need. Genax couldn't get into the fight due to Caps' tower placement. And he's really the strongest member of SK as he looks to cheese Caps here, but...
Caps still powerful.
That's the damage. Yeah, I don't think he wins that, I'm afraid.
No, Gragas fast. That's a NASCAR Gragas, but he cannot match the Emperor.
Oh,
TP. Oh, man.
That feels pretty bad.
That is real rough.
Yeah.
That is...
And that's your strongest member.
Yeah. That's the talk trash and then concede sort of moment. But respect Gen X, you know, got to go for the play sometimes. Maybe Caps is going to fumble, maybe he's going to misstep. Does now have a Void Staff as well. But I don't think it's getting easier, especially when Jax is building towards a Seekers of his own.
It's a great recovery from Caps this game. After a questionable early game that led to SK getting a few of the objectives, he's been farming up a Storm, and his impact in these team fights has been undeniable.
Yeah. I mean, credit to Hansama as well, too, right? All of the kills that went over, going over to Keduii, is what brought Gold back to being close, and now he's got a 2K lead.
True.
Managed to bring it back, and this is the point where this composition is easy. Sieging with Caitlyn, Braum, Azir.
Pretty chill.
Very chill. Trap line set up.
Now Caps is onto mid here as well. And nobody's even contesting him.
5 members, it looks like they want to try and force a man advantage, but in the meantime, the price of even trying to make that play is losing tier 3 mid.
Yeah, Caps just pushes so damn fast with his Nashers too. Immediately now he's able to continue pushing, but
Reeker behind, right into Hansama. Premier target cleanse already going down, but Labrov is ready to body block the bomb, but taking Mina closer. Reeker can't do it. Hansama's just too damn clean. Labrov blocks what he needs to, and now Caps is looking to take out Keduii. Mid laners versus AD carries. Mid laners not having a great time, but Caps has backup from the team. Oh, and the Caitlyn to close it!
Oh my god.
Nowhere is safe.
Getting absolutely everything. They take down all of SK. Roadshow be damned. G2 are taking the series 2-0.
No hope left to sniff, Mr. Spectra. G2.
It's been sniffed out.
Yeah, it's been sniffed out. 12K lead. G2 dominant across the series. You can nitpick all you want, but on the day, by far the better team, a clean closeout.
And really credit to Hansama in that last fight. The way he maneuvered through Reeker's flank and just position, flash the Rell, flash engage. Absolutely beautiful.
Excellent, excellent stuff, right? And for SK, they're not out yet, but the 2-0 was the only way that they were guaranteed at least a tiebreaker. Now everything gets so much more difficult for G2. They're in. They've made it. Playoffs. It was a lingering doubt. It didn't feel possible, and it no longer is. They're not going to miss anything. They'll be there. Well, earned win over SK, but really, this is just the appetizer, baby. KC versus G2 tomorrow is the real test.
True. And for our league now, no team is out yet.
No team is out. BDS and Rogue holding on.